week 2 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I would look to buy low and trade for this week. The first guy is Jose Abreu, the MVP last season for the Chicago White Sox. So Abreu so far, the 34-year-old, he's been off to a slow start on the season. 9 of 46 from the plate, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, a 196 batting average, and a 321 on base percentage with 5 runs scored. So right now, obviously, he's really down in the dumps as Abreu, and he just can't get on track. His on-base percentage is still pretty good, though, for a guy hitting 196, for it to be in the 320. So I think the batting average will come. His strikeout rate's a little high right now with 18 strikeouts in 46 at-bats, but he was the MVP last season, and there's no way I see him falling off this much from one season to another this year. After last year, he hit 19 homers in 60 games played for the White Sox. It's just a slow start here for Abreu, and I think he's going to get things turned around and going. And right now, while his value's at its lowest, it's definitely time to get him, where he only has 2 hits in his last 4 games here. April 11th versus the Royals, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. April 2nd versus Cleveland, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. April 13th versus Cleveland, 1 for 3. And last night versus the Indians, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So right now, he's definitely struggling, is Jose Abreu. But like I said, the value's low, and maybe you could get him on a discount this week. I know it's only week 2, and some managers, they take a wait-and-see approach before they make a trade. But right now, if you could pounce on Abreu at his lowest price, this would be the time to get him. The second guy's Alec Baum of the Philadelphia Phillies, so the former top prospect in the system last year, came up, and he came onto the scene pretty well with Baum. And this season in fantasy baseball, he was drafted early in the drafts, about the 8th to the 10th round for the most part. We've seen him go, and so far in the early going for Baum, 10 for 43 from the plate, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, a 233 batting average, and a 277 on base. So right now, Baum, his approach is just going up there and hacking right now. He's not taking many pitches, and that could be seen by his 2 on base with his 233 batting average. So he's going up there hacking, and he's been in a slump now to start the season as Baum. And Baum, he qualifies at first and third, which is pretty decent versatility in fantasy baseball. And the last few games for Baum, April 11th at the Braves, 2 for 4 with 2 runs. April 13th in the doubleheader versus the New York Mets, 2 for 6 in that doubleheader with a run scored and 2 walks. And then yesterday versus the Mets, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So Baum, the first week of the season, he was hitting the ball good, including a 3-run homer versus the Mets. But now the last week and a half here, he's really slowed down. And today he's in the lineup once again in a 12-10 ball game versus the Mets batting 5th. And we'll see if Baum can get back on track. Today probably will be a tough day for him to get back on track versus Jacob deGrom. But he's definitely a buy low candidate, because this guy's a top prospect last season, and he's just going to get better from here. His defense is good. The ball to all fields. And last season we saw with the 323 batting average and some power he showed since he came up from the minor leagues. So it's just a slow start here for Baum. But I could definitely get him on the low this week. Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Goldschmidt here, he's been a mainstay in the major leagues in fantasy baseball as a top player for many years now. And Goldschmidt, he's off to another slow start with the Cardinals on the season. 11 of 47 from the plate, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, a 234 batting average, and a 280 on base. So right now, he's putting the ball in play as Goldschmidt. He's only got 10 strikeouts, which isn't that bad in 47 at-bats, but he just can't get it going for whatever reason. And this Cardinal team, they've been slumping of late as well the last few games, losing 4 out of 5 as his Cardinal team. And Goldschmidt, he just has to get back on track. And he's only had 1 big game, really, in his last 5 or 6 ball games. April 11th versus Milwaukee, 0 for 5. April 12th versus Washington, 0 for 4. April 13th versus Washington, 2 for 4 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. And last night versus Washington, 0 for 4 for Goldschmidt. So the Cardinals, they were off today. And then they start a weekend set at the Philadelphia Phillies, which definitely could get Goldschmidt back in line in that small ballpark in Citizens Bank Park. And right now, while his value's low and he's not producing. This is definitely a time to go by Goldschmidt low. Last season, he was productive. Just the power numbers were down, and that could happen again this season, where he might only hit 18 to 23 home runs, but I still believe he'll have a good batting average and obviously an on-base percentage. And he's a guy that usually he don't miss much time as Goldschmidt. I think he's only missed a lot of time one season during his career. But besides that, he's a guy that usually produces and productive. And now while his stats are off to a slow start, this is the time to go out and trade him. The next player is Yasmani Grandal of the Chicago White Sox. So Grandal, he's been one of the top catchers in fantasy baseball. The last 2-3 seasons here, he's been a top 5 guy. Is Grandal, and we know he's going to be a low batting average hitter, but he's a guy you expect to hit anywhere from 20 to 30 home runs a season here at the catching position. But so far, it's been a train wreck for him. 4 for 26 from the plate on the season. 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 5 runs scored, a 154 batting average, and a 371 on base percentage. So now Grandal, he's been out of the lineup the last 2 out of 4 ball games with the day after night games, a couple rainouts in there as well, and he just can't get anything going. But like I said, he's going to be low batting average, but catcher this season and most fantasy seasons, there's only a handful of good catchers. And this year so far, Grandal, he hasn't been a good catcher. And the last few games for him, April 7th at Seattle, 0 for 2 with an RBI and a strikeout. April 8th at Kansas City, 0 for 2 with a run and 2 Ks. April 12th versus Cleveland, 0 for 3 and a strikeout. And then 2 nights ago, 0 for 4 versus Cleveland. He didn't play last night, and we'll see if he plays tonight in this afternoon ball game to close out this series here with Cleveland. But right now, for a catcher like Grandal, you don't have to give up much to get him. Probably a late starter in your rotation or even a guy on the bench to get him on your roster. Like I said, I know catcher's weak, but Grandal's off to a super slow start, and he's been benched in 2 out of the last 4 ball games here. And this will be the time to buy him low before the summer months come and he gets hot and the ball starts carrying. Because this guy, he still has 25 to 30 home run potential on the 5th and final hitter. I will look to buy low this week. It's Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. So Manny Machado, he was a top 20 pick or less in most fantasy drafts this season. And Machado last year was a great year for him in the 60-game year with 16 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a 304 batting average. But so far this season, he's been slumping at the plate. 11 of 47, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 7 runs scored, a 234 batting average, but a 368 on base. So the on-base percentage is great for Machado, no doubt about it. But the batting average is down. And so far, he has hit 2 home runs in 10 or 11 games. Not so bad. But I think Machado, he'll get things going. This guy, he's a stud and one of the best players in all the major leagues. And some guys, they just get off to slow starts. But this is why these guys are on this buy low list. Because I know they're going to break out, most of these guys. They're not going to come off a huge season and their numbers totally go way down. So I think Machado, he's still going to hit 25, 30 homers. He'll hit 290 to 300 range. And it's just a slow start for him right now. Plus, Fernando Tatis ain't in that lineup. So pitchers, they're staying away from Machado a little as well. So right here, I think Machado, he'll get things going. He'll start the bounce back. And it definitely could start here today at Pittsburgh. So right now, if a Machado owner wants to trade him, this is the time to go out there and try to get him on a little bit of a discount while his batting average is in the 230s, because in a week or two, this guy could turn it around quickly and bounce it up to 280 to 290. So right now, I will go out there and try to get Machado, and that's a few hitters I will look to buy low here in week 2 of the fantasy baseball season.